Welcome back, folks, to another virtual guide series knot video here. I'm Bobby Bennett. Happy to share it with you today. Before we get into it, go hit the like, subscribe, the little bell so you get the notifications. Always appreciate that. That gives us incentive to keep doing these videos. Check us out on our social media, Facebook and Instagram. I think that's all. We do have a Twitter page too, but Facebook and Instagram, those are the ones we use the most. So what we're going to do today is we're just going to do a simple clinch knot and then an improved clinch knot. We're going to do both of them so you can kind of see the difference in them. Now, the reason you would use one over the other is line size. So the bigger the line, the clinch knot will work fine, but as you go down in size, on tippet size, you may want to get into that improved clinch. It just works a little bit better for those smaller lines. All right, so get zoomed in here on my hands. And I've got my favorite hook here that I trap fish with. Bigger hook, bigger fish. That's the rule. Now, this is just one I pulled out of my big one. This is actually a saltwater hook, and it's big enough that you guys can hopefully see it fairly well on the camera as I tie the knot. I'm just using an old piece of Euro nymphing line here so that it's visible for y'all. So when this cinches down against the hook, it's going to be a little bumpy and jumpy. It's not going to cinch as good as like mono or fluoro would. But what we do is we pass the line through the eye of the hook. We're going to do the clinch knot first because it's the simpler of the two. There's two ways to do this. You can spin the hook, you can twist it. I've been putting hand sanitizer on today, so it makes my fingers a little slick on the hook, so I'm going to do it the other way. The other way is to hold the standing line in your thing here and just twist wrap. And usually people do it 5 to 7 times. We're going to do it 4 to 5 times because this is a little bigger line today. And then when you do that, you create that loop in the line right by the eye. You're just going to pass back through that. Essentially, the knot is tied now. You would moisten this. I'm going to put it in my mouth and snug it up a little bit, and then with these guys you can actually hook your finger around the hook and it'll cinch right down. And a good way to tell if you tied a good one is this should be your tag end should be kind of sticking at a 90-degree angle to your standing line, which you can kind of see that there. So that one actually cinched down really well. Super little quick knot to tie, you know, for maybe using for bass and stuff like that, because you are going to be using a larger piece of tippet or fishing line. But quick knot, easy. Now we're going to do the improved clinch knot. And if you will here, by the way, we're working in the shop today, so we may have some customers talking in the background.
Just looking around.
But the improved clinch knot, it starts off the same way as the regular clinch. You're going to pass it through, and again, you can either spin the hook or you can wrap it. We're going to do the same wraps that I did before. Do it about 5 times. We're going to pass it through that loop that you formed at the hook, just like we did with the clinch. Now the improved part of this is now we're going to take this tag in and we're going to go back through this loop that we formed. And usually you can just do it like that. I usually pass it up to my mouth and start cinching it down. Now this one, being it's the improved, it's a lot tighter. This one never wants to cinch well, especially with PVC fly line. So you may have to bear with me here as I cinch it down using my fingernails a little bit more. I'm going to actually slide it down. There we go. Cinch it up. And that is the improved clinch knot. So you see the difference is that one extra step, and it sticks out at a right angle almost too when it seats correctly. But the reason the improved is better for smaller line is because you make that second pass through, so it just gives it another bite in the line, so it won't slip out when the fish hits. Now the downside to a clinch knot or an improved clinch knot is they're not the strongest lines. I think at best they're right around 70% knot breaking strength. But for trout and bass, they seem to work well. When you get into saltwater species and you're actually using that hook, you're probably going to want to use a different knot to tie to your hook. But for bass and trout, those both work great. Again, we appreciate y'all watching. And anytime you're on here, remember, hit that like and subscribe button. Check us out on social media. Check out the Tuckcast with a Splash of Bourbon, our podcast, on your favorite podcatcher. And until next time, we'll go catch some fish.